2022 was a phenomenal year for horror from start to finish, and it'll be a long time before we see another year like it. A24 had its biggest year yet, with multiple contenders for Horror Film of the Year. New installments in both the Texas Chainsaw and Halloween franchises prove that you can always bleed an idea dry as long as you're squeezing hard enough. And I could go on, but last year is certainly not the point of this video. With such a strong year for the genre in the books, I was a little nervous when we got the theatrical release date for M3gan, and it was set to be the first full-length horror release of this new year. That initial trailer was torn to shreds by all these comments wondering if it was supposed to be a comedy or not, thanks to the dance scene being previewed. That scene doesn't make much sense in context either, but hey, who am I to question someone's creative decision? I'm just a YouTuber. M3gan stars Allison Williams of Get Out fame as Gemma, an immensely talented roboticist who gains custody of her niece Katie after the untimely death of her parents thanks to a car crash. With absolutely zero clue on how to raise a child, Gemma uses her super genius science brain to create her grieving niece a companion in her absence, in the form of M3gan herself, and from there, the two form an inseparable bond that becomes exceedingly dangerous as time goes on. Obviously, this is all plot that you can get from a simple viewing of any of the trailers, so from this point onward, be cautious as I will be getting into spoiler territory for the remainder of the video. As always everyone, if you like what I do here, consider leaving a like and subscribing if you haven't already. It does a lot as far as helping to grow the channel. With that out of the way, let's step into the not so distant future and take a look at what made M3gan stand out to me. M3gan is an interesting film even before you begin to watch it because from a surface level perspective, it has a lot of similarities to the Child's Play remake from 2019. Both films show an overworked parent/guardian tries so desperately to be there for their child, but can only truly do so through technology because of their hectic work schedules. Where M3gan and that remake differ, besides the fact that one of them is an actual good movie, is that M3gan ties its core themes and message into the character drama and overall conflict, which gives it so much more substance in the long run. While there was good chemistry between Aubrey Plaza and Gabriel Bateman, the two lead actors in the Child's Play remake, there's never any real palpable conflict to overcome, which ends up making it feel like a shallow movie. Violet McGraw's performance as Katie shows us a child who is truly grief-stricken and is struggling to process and make sense of what happened to her. We are supposed to be invested in our main character's journey, and I think the writing staff did a wonderful job at making Katie feel like a real person with real emotion. With no real way to cope with the harrowing trauma that she faces at such a young and impressionable age, it's no wonder that she clings to M3gan as hard as she does. Throughout the entire film, Katie is hardly ever seen without M3gan because she hasn't learned how to cope and deal with the unfairness of her situation and instead becomes dependent on the doll. Near the climax of the film, Gemma has a heart-to-heart with her niece and helps her make sense of the emotions that she's feeling. She lets her know that it's okay to feel the way that she does because the worst thing that could possibly happen to her did happen, but that pain doesn't have to control you and dictate how you feel. The message is powerful and is delivered in a way that is empathetic, and I think that's the biggest takeaway from it all. Basically, what I'm saying is that the Child's Play remake sucks ass. My biggest worry going into this film was the PG-13 rating. And I don't want it to come off as me saying that PG-13 horror movies can't be good, because there are plenty that have proven to be just as good as the grittier titles, such as Insidious, A Quiet Place, Troll Hunter, and so on. But more often than not, a PG-13 rating for a horror film is indicative of it being incredibly cliche and generic, and those words couldn't be further from being descriptions of M3gan if it tried. If anything, I genuinely believe that the rating helps the film, since the majority of the messages and themes of the film are tied to children and their relationship to technology. With how little violence or shocking imagery is used in the film, you could totally watch this with the younger members of your family as a sort of gateway to the more adult-oriented horror films when they're older. I really love how this movie blends comedy, horror, and legitimate good character drama into one well-structured cinematic experience. It doesn't reinvent the wheel by any means, of course, but the way M3gan ties everything back to this theme of parenting and the importance of human interaction gives this movie a solid foundation that I think will only have more relevancy as time goes on. There were also quite a few scenes that stood out to me and that I really enjoyed, such as Gemma and M3gan's fight near the end, Katie's mental breakdown and subsequent furthering the bond between her and M3gan, and, of course, the scene in the forest with the bully. You guys know which one I'm talking about. Listen, there are few things I love more in horror movies than seeing shithead kids get their comeuppance. I'm quite literally the real life version of that Michael Jordan meme when it comes to kids and horror movies. Like I said at the start of the video, last year was a standout year for the horror genre, and without a doubt one of the best in recent memory. But with the release of M3gan in theaters, I think we've started off on the right foot, and I look forward to what other new horror titles 2023 will give us. A point could probably be made that this isn't a pure horror film because of its lack of scares and focus on character drama, but I personally believe that that's a narrow and surface level viewpoint of what horror can be, but that's a topic for another day entirely. While the movie isn't particularly scary in the traditional sense, the character drama is the driving factor in what tension and scares the movie does give us. No, there's not some homicidal AI running around slaughtering people by the dozens, or huge dramatic build-ups to keep us at the edge of our seats, but you don't need that to make a movie scary. To me, the scariest aspect of this movie is it acting as a critique of our society and how we've become so reliant on technology that eventually the things that make us human are going to dwindle away until all that's left are the humans from WALL-E. And those, my friends, are my thoughts on M3gan. It usually takes a while for me to get recent movie reviews out because I like to dwell on my thoughts and really parse them out, and it's a little difficult when I can't just rewatch the movie or rewind to a specific part. With how well the movie is being received by critics, it's no real surprise that a sequel is already in the works, so I'm excited to see where they decide to take this IP. Let me know down below what you thought of the film, and maybe let me know what you'd like to see me cover next on the channel. Until next time though, my fiendish friends, I hope you all have a wonderful day, keep being kind to one another, and as always, keep enjoying horror. Bye everyone.